Hey everybody, back with another tutorial. Sorry it took so long, we had the stomach flu, but we're back. This is how to sew the Petal Romper by Samantha Marie Designs, so subscribe to our channel, hit the notification bell so that anytime we post a video, you'll be notified by YouTube. And then the next slide is all of our social media handles, so go ahead and check us out on social media. And of course, we do sell what we sew, so go ahead and check out recapturedvalues.com. Alright, the good stuff. The pattern is the Petal Romper by Samantha Marie Designs. This fabric, the floral print is from Knit Pop from a while ago, and the solid is from our shop, Recaptured Values. So yeah. All right, here's the pattern. I am doing the long part here, and pay attention to the pattern piece here where the grain line is going. So the bottom piece and the top piece are going to be straight across. So your side pieces are going to be kind of diagonal. So just pay attention to that when you're sewing it. And then this is the sleeve here. We are doing the gathered sleeve. So you'll need 2 of these cut on a fold here. I like to keep this little notch here, so if I ever do want to do a short sleeve, I don't have to recut this entire sleeve. And then this notch here is where you're going to do your gather too. And then you'll need your front and your back bodice here. 2 of those cut on a fold because it's going to be a lining, and then you'll need your long sleeve cuff piece here. You'll need 2 of those. All right. This is all my pieces cut out here. I've got my cuffs here. I've already done the ham hot method. Folded it over across the stretch and then once more across the grain line. And then you'll serge that raw edge. And then you want to put your bodice or your front bodice and back bodice right sides together with the actual bodice and the lining of the bodice. And I'm using the exact same fabric for my lining. But yeah. So shoulder seams for those. And then these are the sleeves. I'm doing them in a contrast print here. So this is what they look like. As you can see, I made the notch where the gather mark is. So I'm just going to move those out of the way and we'll work on those later. And then the pants here are super simple, kind of very similar to how you would construct flares. You'll do the crotch seams on these. And you do need 2 of these mirrored images. So 2 sets. All right, so we did the crotch seam. Well, here's the bodice. So I'm going to lay this out right side up. You need to pay attention to the front and the back. The front has a lower scoop than the back. So just make sure when you're doing this part that you match them up correctly. So you see that's incorrect here, so I have to flip it around and match my front with my front and my back with my back. And then we're going to serge this circle here, and I'll show you how to do that in just a second. Remove that out of the way. And then here's the cuff pieces. I serged that raw edge, or those raw edges. And then I'm going to make a little snip here. It'll make it easier when I need to add these to the sleeves later. And I didn't say at the beginning of this video, I am going to gather with 1/4 inch knit elastic for this particular pattern because I find it really easy to do and it makes everything perfect for me. So I'm sure there's other easier ways to do it. And if you're doing this for a long time, you'll find the best way that works for you. But I sewed this crotch curve here from one side of the pants, from the back side of the pants, I guess here, right side up. And then I'm going to do the same thing with the other side that I sewed. Serge the crotch seam, and I'm just going to lay them on top of each other like this, right sides together. And then you guessed it, side seams, and then the entire crotch seam, or the end seam, I guess I should say. All the way to the bottom, all the way to the bottom, and then both side seams. All right, so this is how you do the inner circle. This used to confuse me when I was new sewing. So as you can see, you just kind of flip the other side over and start on the opposite side, if you saw that. Hopefully you saw that. But then that way you can go in a complete circle and not have to worry about serging over anything. So go over where you started and then tuck your tail. Again, if you've never watched my videos, I use a nitpicker to tuck my tails. And then now I'm going to do the side seams here of the pants. The other side seam here of the pants. And of course, I do speed all this stuff up just to help this video go by faster. But if you ever do need to pause it or anything like that, just go ahead. And so this is the inseam of the pants. All right, so here is what the inner circle of that neck or the bodice piece looks like. So I'm going to flip both pieces over here so that I enclose this neck line. And since we are adding sleeves to this, we're not having to do the burrito method to do the sleeves. So that's cool. That's less of a step we have to do here. All right, so then I like to lay my piece down like this. And I'll open up one side of this. And then I lay it kind of flat. And then I make sure my straps aren't crooked or anything like that. And I'll open up the other side here. And match it up like this. And this is how you enclose the side seams of the bodice here. So there should be 4 different points here that I will serge. And it's really simple. You just serge those together, do that super fast. All 4 of those like side seams. And so that when you fold this back onto itself, those seams are now enclosed on the side. And so that you won't feel them on the inside and you won't see them on the outside. All right, so here are the pants that we've sewn up, the sides and the inseam. And then, of course, you need to hem these. I'm going to hem them off camera, but I like to hem them up about 1/2 inch. I think that's what they call for. And then this is what the bodice looks like before you flip it over on itself. All right, and since I am using the same fabric for the lining and the mane, I'm not going to worry too much about what I do here, but I am going to try to explain it to you just in case you're using a different fabric. I like to go ahead and make sure all my seams are laying smooth so that they don't affect how the wearer feels when they wear them. But this is what that looks like when you're done. And you're going to want your bodice for the next part of this to be wrong side out. So lining side out. All right. And I like to go ahead and quarter up my the waist opening so that when I'm adding it to the pants, it's super easy to just match up 4 points, the front, back, and both sides to the pants, that it's just seamless and goes perfectly. So I'm finding the true front and the true back here. And then just going to sit this to the side. Like I said, this is lining side out, but of course I'm using the same fabric. So I'm grabbing my sleeves here. I went ahead and did a sleeve because I wanted to make sure that my method would work first. So of course you're going to do this twice for both sleeves. So I'm going to go ahead and grab the arm side here. And I'm going to pick a point pretty much where I want the gathers to like stop on the sleeve. And so as you can see, about right where my finger is right here from the tank part. And so then I'm going to double that number. So I think mine was 3.5. So 3.5 times 2 is 7. And so I'm going to cut a pre-stretched piece of elastic to 7 inches. And you do this pretty much with all the sizes. So like this is the 40 size I think I'm making. And so this is what I'm doing. It all is just subjective to where exactly you want to do it. This is just what I found worked for me. Really easy. So I'm going to find the middle point of this elastic piece here. All right. And then we need the wrist cuff here. The wrist gathering, I guess you could say. And so this one was really easy to find. I just kind of folded the sleeve in half and just measured a pre-stretched piece. That's the exact same length of the sleeve cut or folded in half. It's like half the sleeve. And so, of course, like whatever size you're doing, this should be equivalent to that size. So like you'll still have to look at your sleeve and determine the length of the elastic. Kind of like how when you gather with elastic for a waist, you have to measure it off the bodice. This is just the similar method that I'm doing. So I found the middle of that elastic. So the wrist elastic is going to be longer than the sleeve gathering elastic here. So we have our notches that were from the pattern piece that we marked onto our actual piece here. And so I'm going to mark the middle here because that's where I'm going to put the middle of my elastic piece. And then I'm going to mark the middle of the wrist part here. And I'm going to go over to my sewing machine. And I'm going to use a lengthened straight stitch. So mine goes all the way up to like 4.8, I think. But here's my notch. And I am doing this on the wrong side of the sleeve, okay? I'm leaving a 1/4 inch of the sleeve edge away from my elastic because that's where I'm going to cut when I serge this onto my arm side. So I'm just going to go ahead and get it started and back stitch a little bit, and then I'm going to pull my elastic so that that middle point that I drew on my elastic now matches the middle point that I made on my sleeve here. And then just keep that elastic taut as you sew. Keep that 1/4 inch of fabric on the top there, and then just keep holding this and it'll gather the fabric for you. If your elastic, you see that you don't have enough stretch, pull the elastic and then like kind of let it go and it'll gather the fabric a little bit, and you can like bunch it to kind of give you a little bit more room to stretch the elastic. Hopefully you get what I'm saying. All right, and now you're going to stretch the end of this elastic to the final notch here on the sleeve. And you can use clear elastic too. You don't have to use this. I'm just using 1/4 inch knit elastic. You can use clear elastic. You can serge it if you wanted to. You don't have to do what I'm doing. But I just found elastic to work. And I always have it. And it's always in my arsenal for gathering. So yeah. So back stitch here. You don't want those going anywhere. And that's the best part about gathering with elastic is it's not going to shift on you. If you're doing it right, hopefully, it's not going to shift on you when you add this to your arm size. So same thing with our sleeve here, but we're going to do the entire bottom of the sleeve. So I like to let the elastic hang off a slight bit, and you're going to want to pull the tails here, otherwise it may get like pushed down into the feed dogs. So back stitch, and then again pull the middle to the middle piece here. Don't pop yourself with your elastic. But yeah, in case you missed it, I am using a lengthened straight stitch as long as it'll go. It's otherwise referred to as a basting stitch, I believe. All right, so there's our sleeve. So now we're going to go to the serger and serge our sleeve together. And of course, these instructions are a little bit different, of course, than the actual instructions of the pattern. This is just what works for me. I love to share what works for me. So I'm going to start at this point right here and go over that elastic. And then there we go. It's that simple. I am going to tuck my tail on the end here and remove all the little bits. Okay, so then now we're going to add this to the arm side. So the sleeve is going to be right side out. The bodice will be wrong side out. I'm going to insert the sleeve, match up my points, and then just serge it on there. And I'm going to cut off that 1/4 inch that we left above the elastic, and so that my seam will actually be on the elastic now. If you just be careful not to cut into your elastic, because that could mess up your gathers. But as long as you can do it right up against it, slow and steady wins the race on this part. Tuck your tails in, and then when you flip it out, these are the beautiful sleeve gathers. Sorry, that was so fast. But yeah, so it's like perfect, like perfection. And so then now we're going to add the sleeve cuff to the sleeve. So we're going to flip this. I think maybe we're not going to flip it. I don't remember what I did. Okay, yeah, I'm not going to flip it. All right, so now this sleeve is right side out, and I'm putting the cuff on the outside of the sleeve, which is the opposite of what I typically do. But since I did use elastic to cuff this, or to gather this cuff, I should say, I'm going to do it like this. So it's easier to sew in the round or serge in the round. All right, so then of course you're just going to serge this on in the round. Just be very careful, like again, to serge that 1/4 inch that we left of the fabric off. So that's going to be like your seam allowance. And then the seam should go right on the elastic. And so you will have to stretch it just a smidge. Tuck those tails, and then this bodice is done. So of course, like I said, I just did one sleeve for you guys, but just repeat it with the other sleeve. If you need to go back and watch that, just feel free to rewind. So that's the beautiful bodice, and you could put a band on this if you wanted to and just make it a top. But I'm going to go ahead and add the pants. It's just some free tidbits of information there. All right, and this is my tag that I do. I am going to create a video here soon and show you guys how I make my tags, and then how easy it is to get them printed at your favorite print shop. Little Ray's is our favorite print shop, so go ahead and check them out if you haven't. So my bodice is right side out. My pants are wrong side out, and I'm going to just push this in the middle. There is no front or back to this pants, so just like, you know, however you want to do it. Sometimes you have to pay attention to the rise of the pants, but there's no difference in rise in these pants. So just match your side seams up. And like I said, I like to try to make sure everything's lying flat, and just what I do. And sandwich my seams so that it's easier. And I'm going to put my tag in the middle back. So then I just serge the pants on here. Super simple. Very cute pattern. Once you figure out gathering and you figure out a method that works for you, which I hope my method helps you. But once you figure all that out, this pattern is so cute and actually very simple to make once you figure out gathering. So don't be intimidated. Go ahead and try it. It is super cute on, and I have some modeled photos from one of our reps wearing this in just a few minutes. And then of course hem the bottom. I didn't do that on camera, but it's a 1/2 inch hem on the bottom. And this is what it looks like on. It is so precious. I'm definitely going to make like a million more of these. So thank you guys so much for watching the video, and I'll see you guys next Tuesday. Bye.